Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Real Estate Roundup. I'm Emmanuel Romanos. We have a great show for you today. Joining me a little bit later are going to be two of the three partners in the company Family First LLC Home Inspection Services. Joining me today will be Joe Amati and Jared Lape. So we're going to talk today about home inspections, what that entails, what it is. Included with that we'll also talk a little bit about radon, which is very big in Western Pennsylvania, and also pest inspections, those little critterly termites and ants and bees and all that other fun stuff. So we're going to get to that a little bit later. As always, if you want to contact the show, you can always email us at realestateroundup@outlook.com. Again, that's realestateroundup@outlook.com. If you have any questions, concerns, by all means, let us know. We want to make this as fun and interesting of a show as possible. And, you know, if you have any questions or concerns or what have you, please let us know. With that, we're going to turn to our segment that we call Who Knew? And today we're going to speak about odors within the home. Of our five senses, sight, sound, taste, smell, and touch, many psychologists argue that smell is the most powerful. Smell, unlike other senses, go directly to the limbic system and cerebral cortex rather than through the thalamus first, which is why smells can evoke such powerful emotions and memories. When we come back, I'll share some easy and inexpensive tips related to smells or odors in the home. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Join us in costume to participate in the Bethel Park Halloween Parade. Saturday, October 31st, starting at the Bethel Park Municipal Building. The parade begins promptly at 11 a.m. Parking is available at St. Valentine Parish. The half-mile route will run down West Library Avenue and turn onto Broad Street, ending at the high school campus. Please register on our Facebook event page and like it to keep informed about any new information or cancellations. Children under 13 must be accompanied by a supervising adult. For more information, please call 412-831-3304. We hope to see you on Halloween morning for the Bethel Park Halloween Parade.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about how to effectively and inexpensively eliminate odors from the home. I have three really easy tips for you. The first one to get rid of musty smells is you can make your own dehumidifier. Now, I'm sure many of you have dehumidifiers in the home, but if you don't, or if you need additional help, there's an easy way to make one on your own. And what you simply do is fill up a coffee can with charcoal briquettes or crushed chalk. Put the lid on the can, one of those little plastic lids, punch some holes in it and put it in the corner where the musty smell is coming from. And you want to change that out about every month. But again, what the charcoal briquettes and the crushed up chalk will do is absorb all the humidity. So that's a very inexpensive and effective way to get rid of those musty smells in the basement. Another thing you can do is use old perfume to scent up a room. You know, how many of us always get cologne or perfume for Christmas, birthdays? And it's a very pleasant scent, but when we spray it on ourselves, it's not really our cup of tea. Well, you can simply use that, give a couple sprays within the room, and it'll make the odors go away. So again, you probably have bottles of that stuff laying around. Use it. It's a very effective method. Another thing that works very well is to reuse an orange peel. This makes a great homemade air freshener. And simply what you do is you cut it in half, you remove all the pulp, and you fill it with salt. And the salt will really pull out the orange in the peel itself. It's easy, effective, and cheap. So again, eliminating odors, effectively and inexpensively? Who knew? Okay, joining me now are the owners of Family First Home Inspection. I have two of the three owners in studio today. I'd like to welcome Joe Motti and Jared Lape. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Emmanuel, and very good tips there.
Oh, thank you.
Very good.
Now, Joe, let me begin with you. Just give me a basic background of how Family First got started, how the three of you guys hooked up, a little bit of background of where you came from and how you came to be at Family First.
Okay, no problem. I started Family First in 2006. That was after an extensive construction background.
Okay.
Okay, started on my own, got all my licenses through ASHI, which Jared is going to speak about a little bit later.
Okay.
So 2006, in order to get your licensing, you have to do a ride-along program. So I worked with the guy for 2 years and then went out on my own in 2008. So after I went out on my own, obviously it was a little tough at first, and every year has become better by just meeting people and making the right contacts.
Great. Just growing the business.
Just growing the business, like any other business.
Okay.
Just growing the business. So about 3 years ago, in 2012, I hired a second inspector by the name of Jake Schneider out of Pleasant Hills.
Okay. Now he's the gentleman that couldn't make it today.
He's the gentleman that couldn't make it today,
Got
correct.
it. Okay.
And then I hired him to grow the company, which he come in and grew the company up Pittsburgh, a little north of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
We were both doing in this area as well, doing inspections. And then 2 years ago, I hired Jared, who's sitting to the right of me now.
Okay. Fantastic. So you've been around, you said, since 2008.
I've been out. Family First launched in 2008.
Okay. Good
Yes.
deal. Now, Jared, let me turn to you. Home inspections, anytime you buy, sell a home, the buyers will typically get a home inspection. For the viewers who may not be as familiar with that process, can you give us a background? First of all, very basically, what is a home inspection? And when you go out to a home, what does that encounter? What does that encompass?
Absolutely. The home inspection process, we do a complete overview of the property. So the way we operate at Family First, we start on the exterior of the home. We look at things such as the exterior condition of your siding, or brickwork, whatever it may be, or both in a lot of cases. We look at your windows. We look at grading. It's very important to keep water out of your basement.
Okay.
So you want water your soils to slope away from your foundation, obviously.
Well, after yesterday, I'm sure viewers are out there
Absolutely.
wondering, hey, come tell me how to do this.
No doubt. And we're in southwestern Pennsylvania. Everything's built on a hillside. So,
Sure.
So we start on the exterior, as I mentioned earlier, and then we actually get on the roof. We look at the shingles themselves. We look at your flashings. We look at soffit, fascia, gutters, everything we can see at the exterior.
Okay.
At that point, we enter the home. Once we're inside, we run the water for pretty much the duration of the inspection. Obviously, the more water we put through the pipes and the plumbing system, the better chance we stand of catching any leaks.
Okay.
At that point, once we have the water up and running, we typically start in the kitchen. We go through all the interior components of the kitchen. We test your appliances to make sure they all work properly. Then we'll go through the interior of the home. We check outlets for proper grounding. That's very important. In your kitchen and at the exterior and in your bathrooms, you want GFCI protection. For folks that aren't familiar, it's the outlets with the little buttons. Basically, if they come in contact with water, they trip. Okay, it's a safety feature, very important. At that point, when we go to the second floor of the home, if there is one, we'll go through the interior rooms up there. We check bathrooms. Caulking is very important in your bathroom. You want to keep water out of your, keep water away from any gaps that can get potentially underneath floors, rot subfloors, things like that.
Okay.
We check toilets to make sure that they're stable and attached to the subfloor beneath properly. And then we go into the attic space. Once we're in the attic, we look at the structure itself, whether it be trusses or rafters. We'll look at any wiring we can see in the attic. We'll look for insulation, and then last but very importantly, we also look at the ventilation.
Okay.
You want air to move through your attic space. Okay, so typically you have soffit vents that are intake vents, and you have a ridge vent that is an exhaust vent.
Right.
So we look at all those things. And then we end up in the basement area. In the basement, we look at all your mechanicals. We'll run your air conditioner. We typically can get you ages on your air conditioner, your furnace, your hot water tank.
Okay.
We get you sizes, and obviously check to make sure that they function properly.
Okay. So you, in essence,
It's
you're doing a complete inspection from top to bottom of the home,
Top to bottom.
inside and out.
Yep. And then the last major component obviously would be your electrical panel. We pull the cover. We look for wire sizing,
Okay.
breaker sizing. Grounding's very important.
Okay.
All safety features.
Now, once you complete all this, I assume there's some type of report that you give to, in most cases, the buyers, because they usually are the ones who order and pay for the home inspection, but whomever it is.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Typically, the buyer obviously is going to get a copy of the report. That's who we represent.
Okay.
Normally, their realtor also will get a copy of the report.
Now, is there anything that in a basic home inspection you won't cover? Like, for example, if there's a generator on the premise, or if there's an in-ground pool, is there anything that really isn't covered by a basic home inspection?
Pools aren't typically, and generators actually aren't typically part of the home inspection process. We'll note them.
Okay.
If there's any power to them, we will check the power to make sure that it's safe. But yeah, they are not a part of the inspection process.
Okay, so
typically.
if someone wants to check that, they'd have to call, for example, someone who works with generators and knows the ins and outs.
We'll typically put a note in the report that'll say consult with a qualified pool contractor prior to use, or something along those lines.
Okay,
Exactly.
got it. Now, Joe, I understand with home inspections, you have the basic home, which Jared went over, but there are also two other components: a pest inspection and a radon inspection. Now, number one, does Family First do both of those? And number two, if so, can you talk a little bit about what those entail?
Yes, we'll start off with the pest inspection. Now, it's called a pest inspection. It's actually a WDO form. A lot of banks do require the pest to be done.
Okay.
The WDO meaning wood destroying organism report.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So it covers your termites, which is your most problematic wood destroying pest, and
All
it's
right.
very relevant in Western Pennsylvania. Termites are very, very common.
I know.
Uh,
Unfortunately, I know.
yeah, so do I. When I redid my basement, I
Yeah.
had seen some that was from years ago.
Those little creelers, man.
Most of the time, you're not going to see a bunch of wood in front of your face. So you're going to see past activity of them, which we call shelter tubes.
Okay.
Well, how I explain to people, they look like dirt veins. They will
Right.
scale concrete to get the wood. They're subterranean. They do come up from the ground.
Okay.
Okay. What also covers are carpenter ants, carpenter bees, and wood-boring beetles.
Okay.
Okay. Carpenter ants are the big black ants with the
Oh,
three
right.
little bodies on them.
Okay.
Most people will get carpenter ants. They don't eat your wood like termites do, but what they do is bore holes through your wood.
Right.
And they produce something called frass. So we look for that. Now in the wintertime, you're not going to see carpenter ants floating around the property. Okay, so this is more common, even with the termites, of any activity is when the weather starts warming up.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Carpenter bees are the big bees. They drill holes
Right.
in your wood. Like if you have softened fascia that are wood, or even a wood deck with railings on them, and you see that frass, which is sawdust, laying around, and you don't actually see the bee, that's what's happening there. They actually drill perfect holes, like a screwdriver does,
Okay.
or a drill. The wood boring beetles, some call them powder post beetles, okay? A lot of that comes from older wood that was laying around in older homes, okay? Usually the newer homes don't get affected by the wood boring beetles.
Okay.
But they come with the wood that's constructed with the home.
Okay. Got
Okay,
it.
so they're the least common. Do we see them here and there? Yeah, but they're the least common type of wood destroying pests.
Okay.
Okay, the radon, let me get back to the pest. The pest is through the Department of Agriculture. It's a separate entity from the home inspection business.
Okay.
But we cover all three.
Okay.
Okay, which some inspectors don't do radon, don't do pests, but do home inspections. But our company takes pride in doing everything that we can possibly do for our clients.
So you're comprehensive. You'll cover all three areas.
We'll cover all three,
Okay.
and with three of us being in the business, we can get things done in a timely manner.
Okay.
Okay. Say
All
one
right.
of us are booked up, we'll give the other inspector the job,
Right.
so our company doesn't lose it, and the realtor or the buyer can get it done within the 10, 15, possibly 20 days they need to get it done.
Okay.
The radon is through the DEP. Okay, and then and the EPA mandates certain levels being 4.0 picocuries per liter, and the picocuries per liter is a measurement of radioactivity.
Okay.
Okay, radon is a byproduct of uranium that comes up from the earth.
Right.
It's actually from decayed rock and soil. It is the second, according to the EPA, is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States.
I didn't know that.
When I first started the business back in 2008, went out on my own and was starting to do radon testing, about 10% of people got radon testing done.
Okay.
Now they have radon month, January being the radon month. Okay, so they're doing articles. I think Channel 4, one of the local news, did a big thing on radon. Pittsburgh Press ran. So a lot of people are starting to educate themselves about radon.
All right.
Now it's about 60% of our business is radon also.
Is that right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it jumped just 50% since I've started. So
Okay.
people are actually becoming more knowledgeable about the radon.
Okay.
Okay, what would you do if you had elevated radon levels? To be honest with you, a lot of people don't understand, just from experience, 1 out of 3 homes do come back elevated. Okay, so it's not uncommon to have elevated radon levels, especially in the state of Pennsylvania.
Right.
Their levels are 4.0 picocuries per liter, like mentioned before. Some states are 8.0, 6.0, okay, even 10.0. Okay, so in this state, they're the most strict in the country.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why you get the 1 out of 3 that we do come back elevated.
Now, when you do your inspections and you do your reports, regardless of if it's radon, pest, or the quote-unquote home inspection, does your company also, Joe, handle repairs, or you merely inspect the property, point out issues of concern, and it's up to the client to make whatever arrangements are necessary to fix the concerns?
That's a very good question, Emmanuel. Under the home inspection guidelines, we're not permitted to say you need a new roof and then come back as Joe the roofer. Okay, so it's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
But with the separate pest, can we come back out and treat for pests? Can people do? Yes. Our company does not treat for pests.
Okay.
Okay. Along with the radon, what happens is if you do have elevated levels, what we would recommend is a licensed mitigation company come in and decrease the levels by installing something called a mitigation system for the radon.
Okay.
Okay, which is just a 4-inch pipe that goes into your slab floor with a fan, goes out your sidewall with like a little gutter extension that runs up past your roof.
Okay.
Our company is in the process of being licensed for the mitigation.
Okay.
Okay, so we're looking at this summer to go out and actually mitigate for radon as well.
Okay, and that would be something separate from the inspection portion.
That is
correct?
separate, correct.
Okay, got
Yes.
it. All right. Now, Jared, back to you. I know in the real estate industry, as a realtor, you have to be licensed by the state. There's a code of ethics. The state wants to make sure that everybody is playing above board and adhering to a certain set of guidelines.
Sure.
In the home inspection industry, is there something similar, and is there a body that kind of oversees that for the home inspection industry?
Well, in the state of Pennsylvania, we don't have licensing.
Okay.
So we follow the ASHI Standards of Practice, which is, ASHI stands for the American Society of Home Inspectors.
Okay.
It's the largest association in the home inspection industry in the nation. So they put us through a rigorous training process to make sure that you're up to snuff on all the proper elements of the home inspection.
Okay.
So they're the governing body over the home inspection industry
Okay.
that we follow.
And not all home inspectors are ASHI? Or?
No. So when you see the inspectors ASHI certified, from a buyer standpoint, that should give them peace of mind, because you know that we followed a strict training regimen and are qualified to do the job for you.
Okay. Now, ASHI, A-S-H-I?
Yes, sir. Yep.
A-S-H-I. Okay. Now, let me turn, and I'll just throw it out to both of you, whoever wants to jump in on it, because it's a big issue in Western Pennsylvania because it's an older area. We have a lot of older homes, lead-based paint. Now, obviously, you guys, during the home inspection, do you check for that, or is it merely you go by the age of the home, or do you get involved at all with lead-based paint?
No, we don't test for lead-based paint. Our company does not. Okay. What happens is any house built before 1978, you have the possibility of lead-based paint, and along with other things they used back then that could be harmful.
Okay.
Okay. Lead-based paint can affect you if you eat it, or a child eats it, or if
Right.
a dog eats it. Obviously, if there's any flaking paint, the house is built before 1978, we will recommend that somebody come out and scrape and paint.
Okay.
Okay, as an outside source.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So that's definitely something we do cover, but it will never state there's mold in your house. It'll be stated as possible mold. In order to state something's lead-based paint, asbestos, mold, you would have to take it to a lab and get an analytical on it.
Okay.
Okay, so nobody can tell you by just looking at something. Yeah, can you assume? But our company does not assume anything.
Okay.
Okay. If there's a problem, we recommend the appropriate contractor to come out that's licensed in that field to further evaluate, make repairs as needed.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And that includes the roof and the electrical and things like that.
Right.
We are generalists. We're not specialists.
Okay.
Okay.
Got
So
it.
just to add to that a little bit, Emmanuel, what we do in our reports is not only do we cover all the major components, we also put maintenance tips in our reports.
Oh, okay.
So if we see flaking paint, we're obviously going to recommend that it be scraped and painted.
Okay.
We also provide our clients with a maintenance manual. Okay,
Oh,
it's like a
nice. All right.
30-plus page little booklet that
Okay.
gives you tips and pointers on how to maintain your home.
So it's not just the report, but there are educational tips in there to help the homeowner as well,
Absolutely.
or the buyer,
Correct.
whomever.
We provide that as a courtesy to our clients.
And I would assume in this day and age, you probably take a ton of pictures and include that as well.
I was just going to say that our company goes above and beyond. We do take a lot of pictures.
Okay.
Not only we obviously take pictures of problems.
Right.
If there's a
right.
leak under your sink, we actually go above and beyond and try to get in a picture of the actual drip coming from
Okay.
there. Okay, with
All
an
right.
arrow pointing to where it's coming from.
Okay.
Sometimes clients can't show up, and even if they do, we still take a lot of pictures. Now, we also take pictures of your kitchen, even though there's nothing wrong with your kitchen, but we put them in the report.
Okay.
Okay.
So the pictures are a part of the report.
Very much so.
Got
Very
it.
important. We don't have to put pictures in our report as actually home inspectors.
Okay.
It's not something that's under the standards of practice, which is their bylaws, basically. Okay.
All right.
But our company definitely does. I think it's very important to have pictures in your report.
Okay. Jared, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, our reports are typically 30 to 50 pages long, obviously
Wow.
very picture intensive. Okay.
Okay.
So as we go through the different sections of the report, we can attach pictures of, obviously, like Joe said, areas that were problematic or just areas that we may want to give you a little maintenance tip on. Okay. At the end of our report, there's also what's called a summary page.
Okay.
In that summary page, it's going to give you a little synopsis of major items. Okay. It kind of groups everything together. Just easier to review, being that
okay.
you have 30 to 50 pages.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'll tell you what, I find this very fascinating and is obviously something that is much needed. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. Before we go, is there anything, and I'll throw this out to both of you again, is there anything that we didn't cover that you think may be of value to the viewers? Joe, we'll start with you.
Basically, a home inspection is, I know we're here speaking about attics and electrical, but basically what we tell our clients is over the phone, a home inspection is just a full overview of your property. Primarily, if we can see it, we inspect it. Safety being our #1 priority, okay? We can't see above ceilings, underneath ground, behind walls. Nobody can. We try to do our best to give you a full overview of everything that's working properly and everything that's not, including minor things as doorbells, damaged screens, cracks in your driveway. We do document the minor stuff as well. But obviously we're there for any major concerns, including safety and health concerns.
Okay. Jared, anything to add?
I would just encourage anyone that's buying a home to really take advantage of a home inspection. When you look at the cost of a real estate transaction and the price of a home inspection relative to that, the service pays for itself every time.
Okay.
So I just encourage everyone really to take advantage of the service.
Fantastic. Good stuff, guys. We'll be right back.
I could describe him for you.
You can? Excellent. Guy, record Lady Marion's description.
He is tall. Well, he is sort of tall. He's definitely taller than me.
He is not very tall.
And he has brown hair that sort of falls just right.
He has brown hair.
Yes, and he has this deep voice that is cocky, confident, and lighthearted all at the same time.
He has a deep voice.
And he was wearing a cloak with a hood.
He has a cloak with a hood. So he is not very tall. He has brown hair, a deep voice, and he wears a cloak with a hood.
Oh, and and he has striking brown eyes. Oh wait, maybe they were blue? Or were they green?
And he has blue, brown, or green eyes.
Yes, that's definitely him.
Well, thank you, Lady Marian, for your description. I'm sure it will help with Robin Hood's apprehension. I promise you, Lady Marian, that I will bring that outlaw to justice.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, I want to thank the guys from Family First LLC Home Inspection Services, Joe and Jared. And that's a wrap. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.